Death at Heatherwood, London, July 12th, 1937. Inspector John Marlowe, a man with neatly combed dark hair and an expression of perpetually restrained thoughtfulness, sat in an armchair by the window and slowly leafed through the Morning Times newspaper. The rhythmic clatter of hooves could be heard from the street. An omnibus was passing by the house, and the postman was slowly climbing the steps to the front door. The call was brief, but clear. A moment later, Butler Livingston entered, carrying a single cream-colored envelope on a silver tray. "A letter, sir, from Yorkshire, from Lady Chatterley." "Lady Chatterley?" Marlowe asked, raising an eyebrow. "Is it really Eleanor?" Livingston nodded silently and left. Marlowe cut the envelope with a paper knife. The handwriting was familiar, tall, neat, with a slight right tilt. "Dear John, I am sorry for the suddenness of the letter. Heatherwood remains as secluded as ever, and it's this solitude that's starting to bother me. I can feel something happening. I can't say what exactly, but the feeling of impending disaster doesn't leave me. I would appreciate it if you would agree to come to my place for the weekend. Just like an old friend, not like an inspector, but if my hunch is right, maybe as a detective. Sincerely yours, Eleanor Chatterley." Marlowe read the letter twice. Eleanor was not a nervous woman. She always exuded calmness even when she lost her husband 10 years ago. If she's talking about impending trouble, then you should be on your guard. He got up and went to his desk. "Livingston, prepare your travel suitcase. I'm leaving for Yorkshire tonight. The train to Yorkshire left at 16:45 from King's Cross Station." On the way, Marlowe watched the flashing meadows, low stone houses, and sheep grazing by the winding roads. The English countryside seemed to be asleep in its century. But it was here, in cozy villages and among well-kept estates, that the darkest secrets were often hidden. Heatherwood greeted him with fog and the smell of damp leaves. It was an ancient manor house on the edge of the village of Dalton Moorhead, surrounded by a garden where roses and lavender were already in bloom. Eleanor Chatterley, a tall woman with graying hair pulled back in a severe bun, met him at the gate. "John, thank you for coming," she said, shaking his hand. "Heatherwood has become a strange place. I feel like he's watching me." "Heatherwood is a house, not a predator," Marlowe replied with a smile. "But you look tired." "The nights are restless. Dreams. And there are also guests. There are too many guests. And none of them for a reason." He looked around the front of the house. A woman's figure flashed by in the window of the second floor. A young one with long blonde hair. "Who's that?" "My niece, Iris. I came from London on vacation, but I don't believe it's just a vacation." "And who else is in the house?" "Sir Henry Bland, the late husband's business partner. He claims that he came to visit an old friend, but it's clear between the lines that he has things to do. And Dr. Howell, an old family friend. He became too attentive to my health. And alas, Martin Gray, my former gardener. I fired him for stealing. But he came back, first to the village. Now he appears at the greenhouses at night." Marlowe felt a chill run down his spine. "You wrote in your letter, a premonition of trouble. What exactly did you have in mind?" "Death, John." Eleanor's voice became quieter. "She's somewhere nearby. I can hear her. The morning in Heatherwood began with a chill." Marlowe awoke to the soft patter of rain on the shutters. He put on a tweed jacket, went down to the living room, and found all the guests at breakfast. Iris Wells is a slender girl in her mid-20s with a mocking look and expressive eyes. She ate an orange with a spoon and listened to the conversations with a slight grin. Sir Henry Bland, a man in his 50s with a fleshy face and gold cufflinks, was eating fried sausages, smacking his lips loudly. Dr. Howell, a thin man with gray hair at the temples, was quietly drinking coffee, not participating in the conversation. "Good morning, Inspector," Iris said, not looking at him. "Or should you be called a family friend?" "Let's just call it Marlowe." He nodded. "Are you an actress, Miss Wells?" "Sometimes. She is currently unemployed. My late aunt said that the theater was a thankless business. She always jumped to conclusions before asking questions." Mrs. Chatterley was the last to enter. She was wearing a lavender morning dress. His face is tired, but his eyes are collected. "Sorry I'm late," she said. "Bad night." "You should rest, Eleanor, doctor," Howell said softly. "You've already brought enough potions, doctor." The atmosphere at the table was tense. Marlowe was watching. He noticed glances, hesitations, pauses. Sir Henry dropped the knife and started as if someone had slammed the door. Iris smirked when she saw Eleanor pour herself a cup of tea with a trembling hand. Dr. Howell was whispering into his cup. Later, while walking in the garden with Eleanor, Marlowe asked the question directly. "Why didn't you leave home if you feel in danger?" "Because my roots are here, and my secrets." "Which ones?" She paused. "There's a safe in my husband's office. I found something in him. Papers, the will, old accounts. They can change a lot of things, and I'm not sure who else knows about it." "Who has access to the office?" "I'm the only one with the key. But I found the keyhole scratched. Someone was trying to get in there." Dusk was gathering. Martin Gray came out from behind the hedge, stooping with earthen hands. "I'm sorry, ma'am. I came to get my tools. I need to fix the gates of the greenhouses." "Who called you?" "What is it?" she asked sharply. "Miss Iris asked me to visit the greenhouses. She said she was allergic to blooms and needed to be examined." "Sage." Marlowe smiled a little. "It's too confusing." He looked towards the house and noticed a silhouette flickering in the attic, behind the dusty glass. Too tall to be a woman. Too fast to be a ghost. It was an unsettling night in Heatherwood. The rain was pounding on the glass as if someone was scratching it with their nails. The clock on the main staircase struck midnight dully, as if through a column of water. Boards creaked in the hallways, too often for an old house. It's too rhythmic. Inspector Marlowe couldn't sleep. Snatches of conversation, glances at breakfast, strained smiles, the sound of a knife falling, and Mrs. Chatterley's disturbing letter were spinning in my head. Something was really wrong. Everyone in this house was a stranger to each other, although they called themselves family and friends. He left the room taking a pocket flashlight. The hallway smelled of polished wood and old wax. The silence was absolute. Even the rain had subsided. He walked over to Eleanor's office. The door was closed. The key was not in the lock. He put his ear to it. Silence. Just a faint creak, like someone walking slowly on a carpet. When he returned to his room, he finally dozed off in the early morning. A scream woke him up. Female. Shrill. Cutting. He jumped out of bed, throwing on his jacket as he went, and ran downstairs. All the guests were gathered in the lobby. Iris was pale, and her eyes were full of tears. Sir Henry gripped his cane like a weapon. Dr. Howell tried to stay calm, but his fingers were shaking. She's she's in the study, Iris exclaimed. The door's locked. I I, I found her like this. No one opens it. Marlowe went to the door. I tried it and it was locked. There is no key. He examined the lock. Indeed, it was locked from the inside. Step back, he said shortly. With a strong shoulder, he pushed the door open. Twice. 3 times. It gave way with a dull crack. It was cool inside and smelled of lavender and papers. On the floor by the desk, in an armchair, is Mrs. Eleanor Chatterley. Dead. Everything looked neat. Hands folded in his lap, a slight smile on his lips. Next to it is a glass with the remains of sherry. On the table is a note written in the same handwriting that was in the letter to Marlowe. I have nothing to live for anymore. I'm sorry. E. Iris screamed and ran out. Sir Henry sank into a chair against the wall. Dr. Howell silently approached and put his fingers to his neck. She's dead. About 4 hours ago. My heart stopped. Or poison? Marlowe said softly. The doctor gave him a quick glance. What do you mean by that? Everything is too neat. It's too theatrical. Eleanor is not the type to commit suicide, and she wouldn't have left such a note. It's like a scene from a cheap play. Maybe she couldn't stand it, Sir Henry said. She had difficulties. You don't understand how lonely she was here. Loneliness doesn't lead to suicide if you're as determined as you were last night, Marlowe said firmly. He looked around the office. The window was bolted. One door is the one he broke down. The fireplace is cold. The safe in the wall is closed, but there are no signs of forced entry. He raised his glass. He sniffed it. It smells like almonds. Very weak. Dr. Howell frowned. Are you referring to cyanide? I'm not hinting, I guess. Didn't you give her medications? Medicine for insomnia. Natural. Valerian, chamomile, lavender. Safely. I checked it myself. Can you confirm that you did not add anything else? Howell slowly straightened up. That's an insult. I've been a family friend for 30 years. Then it will be easy for you to provide records of her condition, prescriptions, and samples of the medicine. He nodded at Livingston. Close the office. No one enters until the local pathologist arrives, and notify the Durham police station.